All right. So supposedly this thing is live. No idea if it is or not. So if you're able to access this, you should be a patron of mine on Patreon. This is only supposed to be available to patrons of me on Patreon. We shall see. And right now I don't have to worry about it because I didn't announce this at all. And I'm just kind of dropping this out there into the void. But hopefully this records and actually post the Patreon so you actually have access to it. So, people of the future, if you do actually see this, hey, cool, welcome to a little Patreon surprise. And if it doesn't, I'll just sit here for 20 minutes talking to myself and only knowing that fact after the fact. The things I do to be creative. But anyways, the idea behind this was I've been wanting to do this for a while, and I thought, hey, when I get back from the summer vacation and uh, get settled back and get back into my rhythm and back into the groove, I'm gonna carve out some time to try to do this. I've been wanting to do this for a long time, so uh, yeah, let's see how this goes, and then we'll go from there. I'm not really worried about it. But I wanted to do this just to kind of recap season 2 and give you something special for all of your support. I mean, you all know this. I try to say it every single time I post, but without your support, the stuff I have done wouldn't have gotten done. And the possibility of the stuff being done in the future wouldn't even be a possibility if it weren't for you all. So I wanted to throw this together and I thought a great topic, at least like a warm up. Okay. Since you guys are all getting exclusives, or those of you who watch this are getting exclusives, I want to do it for Who Killed Julie. When we start ramping up towards that, we have one more episode to fix. I've got to add in all my important stuff. Um, so when we start ramping up towards that, I want to be able to do this more fluidly. So I said, let's just try this with subject found and see how it goes. Not that I consider subject found to be a tester, obviously. Got the shirt, I got Patty behind me, you know, loving subject found. But at the same time, um, I want to, I know I got to test these things out. I have no idea if this thing is going to post or not. So we shall see. I'm going to hit publish now. So you guys are seeing everything behind the curtain. Oh man, who knows? Who knows if this thing is even going through? I know it says it's recording right down there, so that's a good thing. I'm actually um, trying to look it up. Anyways, hell, I'll learn one way or another. Let's just do this. Oh, I got a notification on my phone. Let me see. Oh, yeah. So, because I can see the stuff I post myself. Let's see what this thing actually says. I'm going to go to my own phone or my own feed and see if I can see me. Not that I want to see me. I promise at some point we're actually going to talk about something. All right. Well, I can't see the link. I have no freaking idea. No idea whatsoever. So we'll just we'll just do what we're doing. No, doesn't look like a links. I have no idea. Oh, there we go. Check that out. Let's see. I just found the link for it. Man, this thing is a hot mess, which is why we're doing it like we're doing. Oh my gosh. So let me just type this into us. And I swear to God, after this, I don't care. We're gonna just press. Okay, let's press, shall we? Uh, so the whole thing I was gonna do to get, and getting together with you all recorded wise, because this live thing is just gonna be the death of me, which is why I do podcasting because it's not live, and I like not live because I can fuck things up and be okay with it. Anyways, to do a little season 2 recap and then uh, talk about some stuff coming up in the future. So, season 2, Rip. Interesting feedback, interesting reaction. It is a little, um, there is a caveat to it. The caveat being that I was on vacation when the season finale went out to the world. So I held myself, I was faithful to myself. I didn't check in on stuff while we were on leave or while we were on vacation. Sorry. Can't get the old military out of me from time to time. But it was just, I mean, it's a European trip. We saved for 2 years for that. So I wasn't going to do stuff like social media on something like that. And when I got back, I tried to catch up with as much as possible, and I was interested to see the reaction. General reaction was of surprise, the spirit of, I didn't see that coming. That could be a tongue in cheek insult. It could be a compliment. I'm not going to worry about it. You know why? Because I'm happy with the season. I was happy. I would not have put that story out there if I wasn't happy with the story. I'm not necessarily a contrarian, but if a lot of people are doing something and if a lot of people like something, I don't want any part of it. I don't want to be a sheep. I don't want to follow the herd. There's a reason why I listen to heavy metal and not pop and R&B and all that stuff. There's a reason why I don't like a lot of the TV shows and movies. I couldn't care less about superhero movies. Sorry if that upsets some of you, but I couldn't. They bore me to tears. For the most part, there's a few of them that I do enjoy from time to time, but I don't go see them when they're the hot thing, and I'll catch them on Netflix when they come around. Fast and Furious can kiss my butt. It's atrocious. It's a travesty. It's an insult to art. So I don't do these things that a whole lot of people do, and I'm okay with that. So when it comes to my own storytelling, I don't listen to a lot of audio drama anymore. I used to listen to a lot. I don't. One, I don't want influences anymore. And two, there's just not a whole lot of good stuff out there. There is good stuff, but a lot of the stuff I actually end up enjoying is stuff made by networks, major networks, Gimlet and Wondery and those folks. And I have a moral objection to supporting big networks, um, because they just come in and they run roughshod on the medium and squash all of us little people. So I try to stay faithful to little people, but at the same, like me, I'm a little person, metaphorically and literally. Uh, but at the same time, there just isn't a whole lot of audio drama that I feel is mature writing. I think a lot of it's immature. There's not a whole lot of character development in a lot of these. Most of it is plot driven. And I'm not really big on plot. Plot is the foundation. The story comes in the character development, what you do with the characters. That's where story happens. And I am an adherent to story. Story first. I don't care how cool your idea is. If I don't care about your characters, I'm not going to listen. And for the most part, Paul's opinion, audio drama doesn't necessarily have a lot of good characters in it. There a lot of them are shallow. And so I don't I find myself not listening to a lot of it, and I find myself actually listening to less and less of it and moving to other things. Uh, we can talk about someday, some nonfiction type stuff, which here's a little spoiler for you, a little insight if anybody ever sees this, because I don't know if I even did this right. Um, a little bit of insight for you that when Who Killed Julie comes out, you've only heard one teaser right now, and it sounds the teaser sounded very much like an audio drama. You're gonna hear the second teaser as soon as we're ready to go. I mean, everything's done. All of the post-show stuff has been recorded and cleaned up, and I've put my book advertisements in there because, hey, podcasting is free. I gotta get something out of it, right? And Um, once it comes out, or once that second teaser comes out, you'll still feel, or even more so, because John over at Dog and Pony Studios did an absolutely fantastic job of that sound design in that second teaser. God, it's so good. But when the show itself comes out, those of you who are looking for straight up audio drama, full cast, actors, all that stuff, you're not going to get that in Who Killed Julie, because for me, it's about the characters. It's about the people in the story. It is an audio drama. There are actors, there are sound effects, but I intentionally try to straddle a careful line between nonfiction shows that you're seeing out there and audio dramas. I wanted it to be fictional, obviously. I didn't want a single narrator, not for this show. But at the same time, I listen to a lot of stuff besides audio drama. And I think that exposure, I think it appeals to me, not the exposure. I think it appeals to me because of the storytelling. Like Aaron Mahnke from Lore. Probably a lot of you listen to that. And he's a hell of a storyteller. Absolutely hell of a storyteller when it comes to fictional or nonfiction stuff. There's a lot of us on the fictional side, on the fiction side, who could learn from the way he structures story. So you'll see a lot more of that in Who Killed Julie. So I have no idea why I started. Start with one thing, move all the way over. Anyways, oh yeah, subject found the reaction that this season finale got. So season one definitely had great reaction. It was very blatant. Season two, I'm not so sure if people are happy with the way I ended it. Of course, again, I don't care. I'm happy with the way I ended it. That was the way to end that story. If you haven't listened all the way through and you're checking this out because Paul's trying to do something different here, um, and you haven't listened all the way through Subject Found season two, there's going to be spoilers in this, so just be warned. Um, I need to look at my notes real quick, make sure I stay on point since I haven't yet. First thing I want to hit on is, the point of that season two story, why I did that story. You all know, you've all heard me say it before. Season one was always going to be Bigfoot, always was. If Subject Found it was a complete flop, thankfully it's not, but if it had been a complete flop, I could at least have told my Bigfoot story. And the creative in me is at peace now because I was able to. I wasn't originally going to do Jack the Ripper for season two. I've got behind here. One of the reasons I have this is not just to show off this cool art that you can get over at T Public and support me and help me create stuff, but you all already support me. Um, there's a whiteboard behind me with a list of all of the topics, all of the subject found topics that I want to cover. And I was looking at it and looking at it, and I narrowed it down to three. One of them was a maritime theme, and it didn't flame my fire at all. And then the second one was, um, man, I'm not going to tell you what it was. Well, shoot, Adam is just telling me that the link didn't work. Oh, that's frustrating. So I'm going to click on this and see if I can see myself. Well, shoot, Adam is just telling me. Oh, I'm watching myself. Didn't work. This is creepy. Oh, that's frustrating. So I'm going to click on this and see if I can see myself. That was funny, folks. I wish you could live this experience with me. I got to reply to him real quick because he's just a great guy. So hang on. Again, first time ever. This was just going to be a test. All right. So, anyways, let's put that up there. Maybe I should just put it in the links. Huh? What do you say, patrons? Let's just do this. See, I'm seeing myself. Oh man. So, anyways, I'll put that out there. I just made it, and this is ugly. So, if you're watching the recording of this, please just fast forward. Skip this that whole part. Hey, go rewind, then fast forward again. Skip that entire part. All right, I need to just stop looking at that monitor so I can actually do this with you all. So let's get back to what we were talking about. The second season of Subject Found. So I had three ideas. First one being a maritime. Okay, 50 something ideas for Subject Found that I'm hopefully going to live long enough to do, though at this rate, probably not. Narrowed it down to three that I was going to do, one of which was a maritime theme. Wasn't really interested in doing that. So I narrowed it down to two. And I had Jack the Ripper, and then I had this other one, which obviously I'm not going to tell you because I haven't created the story yet. So you'll know that it's coming. So, anyways, in that moment, this is a thing about my creative brain. In that moment, the second one, the alternative didn't inspire me. There was no spark there. Jack the Ripper, however, I had an immediate affinity to. The idea just stuck for me. So, Jack the Ripper it was, and I started outlining. As I started outlining, I obviously, once I decided on Jack the Ripper, I started reading up on Jack the Ripper, and I really enjoyed the things I found out. I did not realize how gruesome Jack the Ripper was. The person or persons, because we don't know who Jack the Ripper really was. I didn't realize how gruesome that individual or that set of individuals actually was. So that inspired me. That's why Jack the Ripper won out over this other one that I'm not going to mention as the idea for season two. And so that was one of the reasons behind it. It was, a battle out, battle royale between 50 something ideas, narrowed down to the three finalists. One of them wasn't going to win out. The other one was great. It will be season three. And season two obviously went with Jack the Ripper. And another thing, after doing the Bigfoot story in season one, listening back to it and living, so, I listened, I obviously write it. I listened to all the actors. I listened to the pre-production. I listened to the post-production. And then I listened to it live while you all are as well. And it's funny, as a writer, didn't even notice it. It wasn't until I was listening to it as a fan that I said, well, shit, there's a lot of dudes in this Bigfoot story. I'm going to challenge myself to have a female protagonist, which wasn't hard. I love those of you who actually read my short stories when I do them. I absolutely love writing female protagonists. I enjoy it. I enjoy writing anybody who's not me, straight white male. I do. So season two was going to be a female protagonist, but then I couldn't get the angle. I couldn't get the story. All the research I was doing on Jack the Ripper, I just couldn't get it. So I struggled and I struggled and I struggled. And then I started now you have to remember, I wrote Jack the Ripper right during the Bigfoot season. So we're talking 2016 is when I wrote Rip, the second season. Um, I wasn't new to audio drama, but my talent pool was small. And it's not like nowadays. Nowadays, I can go out onto Twitter and I can say, hey, I'm casting for a cactus. And I'll get 40 people to say, hey, I want to audition for a cactus. Back then, I couldn't. So I started thinking about Jack the Ripper and I thought, there's no way. I've never, at that point, had never been to England, never set foot in the country, and only knew a handful of people in the audio drama community who were British. And then on top of it, I'm an ignorant American. I don't know the regional dialects of England well enough to put a story in London, get a bunch of people with a Liverpool accent, and then get everybody in England mad at me because those are Scousers. They're not Londoners. What are you doing? You don't, I didn't want to do that. Literally, these thoughts went through my head. So I said, okay, staying away from England. Oh, hey, I got two people. I don't know who's here. Hopefully the chat thing's working, but I will toast to the two brave souls who actually thank you for trying this with me. The link is still going to go live to any of you who are going to watch the recording, but I have no freaking idea if the any of this stuff is working. But I'm gonna toast you all. All right, Adam checked it. So Adam, you might be one of the two out there. We'll see. Or I might not see because I can see the chat pod. It doesn't mean that you all can. So no England. So what am I going to do with Jack the Ripper? I'm not doing any other story. I've got to write another season. I want to write another season of Subject Found. So what the hell am I going to do? So there's this thing called Google. It's really cool. Check it out sometime if you haven't already. But I just Googled a term that I found while researching Jack the Ripper, the Whitechapel murders. And I thought, well, hell, I'm sticking with Murica because I don't think I can get enough British actors to do this with the right accent. I'm too ignorant to pull that off. So believe it or not, I believe there's two. I'm almost sure, maybe three. There's two or three Whitechapels in America. Now, those of you in the South are saying, Paul, there's a lot more than three Whitechapels. I don't mean those kind of Whitechapels. I mean towns called the Whitechapels. But two of them are in the middle of nowhere. Oh, I just had a third and they dropped out. So I don't know if this is working or not. If you're here and you're hearing things, I apologize for the amateur presentation. I'm going to fix this at some point. So there were three Whitechapels in America. Two of them were as rural as can be. And then there was one just southwest of Memphis. Process of elimination, folks. This story is going to Memphis. Yeehaw. That's how literally that's how arbitrary the location decision was for season 2. I can't do England. Where in America is there a Whitechapel? Okay, good. We're going to go to Memphis. So then I had to get smart about Memphis, which, John, I love him to death. I love working with that man. I didn't ask him for any of this stuff, but he went along and did things like reaching out to friends who lived in Memphis, and they started talking about the sound of Memphis. A lot of those things that you heard in that season are custom sound effects. His friend recorded them for him. So you're really hearing Memphis, Tennessee in that. When John does stuff, so all the second season and the third season of Subject Found, and when Who Killed Julie comes out, John does that as well. All of those sounds are custom. He doesn't go grab them off of freesound.org and put those in. And I don't want to sound elitist because when you hear Diary of a Madman, you better believe those sounds are not custom, with very, very few exceptions. The bathtub drowning scene last season, season 1, that was custom. That was me channeling my inner 4-year-old, running the water in my bathtub and then slapping the shit out of it with my hand. So that was custom for you. So, the level of depth that goes into the story, but it wasn't supposed to be there in Memphis. It was supposed to be overseas, and that's why I had to change it. And change. Now, I told you at the beginning, the protagonist was going to be, I wanted to do female. I changed it to male because I didn't think I could find enough British female actors to voice it. And then when I brought it back to America, the shackles were off. I knew I could. And obviously, I knew that meant I could work with Heather again. I adore working with Heather. She can, I know those of you who don't do audio drama might not care. But when you do as many as I do, and then you've got somebody who can do one read, she can put a piece of paper in her face and she can hit the emotion and the line accurately in one read. She doesn't need 4 or 5 takes. Those people you don't ever let go. They're just amazing, and that's why I love her to death. So if you do audio drama, you need to reach out to Heather and give her some work if you're paying, because she deserves that and she does amazing work. So that's when I shifted everything back to be able to write those female protagonists. That's why there are so many female characters in that. It's not it wasn't a deliberate, "Hey, let me manipulate the marketplace and write female characters just to get every" it wasn't like that. It was, "I wanna write a female-centric story, and I want it to be wicked, and I want it to be disturbing, and I want it to be done with females, and I wanna see what happens with that." Maybe I shouldn't have. I'm happy with this story. That's all that counts at the end of the day. So that's why it shifted over, and it was in that process where I had to add a story element because of the change, and that's when I added to Janice's character. Those of you who aren't sure what was going on with her, because I didn't wanna be explicit about it. I didn't want to punch you in the face with it, and I just didn't wanna delve into the topic of mental health and violence and all that stuff because I know there are a lot of people who have strong emotions about it. If you don't know, I have worked in the mental health field before, so I'm not flippant about it. I'm not careless. I'm not disrespectful about it at all. I've dealt with borderline personalities. I've dealt with bipolar disorder in patients firsthand. So when I was thinking about Janice and how wicked I wanted to make it, those of you who listen know what happened in that story. I needed something very aggressive to justify it and flesh out her character. And that's where the borderline personality and the bipolar came in. So she's got a double whammy. And I did that on purpose to shift that character from what it originally was to what you actually ended up hearing in the story. And again, it wasn't a crutch to excuse what happened in the season. It was, again, for those of you who have joined, obviously the link is working. Hi. Uh, I said this earlier. It wasn't a crutch, and I just lost my train of thought on it. Of course, way to go, Paul. It'll come back to me in the middle of this someplace. But it wasn't a. Oh, I wanted to flesh it out because it's all about the characters. I don't care about plot. Plot is the framework. The characters are what drive story. The characters that piss you off, the characters that you fall in love with, the characters who are killed, and you literally get depressed about a fictional character being killed. Though that's what makes good story. Not a lot of the stuff you hear out there that is just paper cutout characters with juvenile dialogue and just, oh my God. That's Again, go back, rewind to the beginning if you wanna hear my soapbox on this stuff. So that's why I gave her that. I gave her the broken family. I gave her bipolar and borderline dual, personality diagnosis because I wanted to make her interesting, and it gave me so much room to play around. Obviously, because of the feedback I got at the end of the season that, "Hey, didn't see that coming." Again, I don't know if if that's people being happy or people not being happy. I saw trouble coming probably by episode 3 or 4. I started getting tweets about people identifying with Janice, people being pissed about Branson, people questioning Angelique, then questioning Pam, Janice's mother. And I thought, shit, I'm in trouble because these people are liking her. I tried to straddle that line. I wanted to mislead you. And I wanted you to like her. She's the protagonist, right? But at the same time, it's a hard line to straddle. And maybe as a writer, I didn't hit it because of the reaction I got. I wouldn't do it any differently. And I think it makes her that much more interesting. I also wanted to have a female hero in the story. That's what, even if you may disagree, by design, by structure, Angelique is the female hero. You hear it all the way from episode 2 in the bar where she confronts Janice. She confronts Janice on her man-hating ways. She confronts Janice on not doing that self-care for Janice's self. She stands up for Janice when Branson's an asshole to her. Angelique, I set right from the very beginning as the hero all the way through the story, and she rescues, you know this, those of you who listened, she rescues Janice all the way through the story. That was all by design to have her be the hero. And those of you who are perceptive enough, who listened to it closely enough, one of the things that some people didn't pick up on and they missed it was that Marshall, the cops at the end in the season finale, so spoiler if you're not that far yet, but Marshall doesn't save Angelique. If you listen to the season finale, there's two gun pops. The first one is by Angelique. She's the one who kills Janice. And she even says that, but again, some people missed out on that in the emotional reaction to what was happening in that story. So I wanted to make sure that I didn't get lazy. I didn't become a lazy writer and play into that trope that, a female character can be strong all the way through a story, but yet at the end, she needs a man to save her. No, she can save herself, and she did all the way through it. And I wanted to make sure that that happened. Easter eggs. Got to talk about Easter eggs. Sponsored by North Coast Brewing Company. Never Say Die. Old Rasputin. This is good beer. If you guys don't drink this, go drink this. It's expensive, but it's good. All right, so Easter eggs. Those of you who listened to Atheist Apocalypse, or maybe found me through Atheist Apocalypse and came over, you know this. I love me some Easter eggs. I love me some Easter eggs. I love me some Easter eggs. This season had plenty of them. If you don't know what an Easter egg is, that's okay. Easter eggs are essentially secrets, hints buried in story, dialogue, sound, etc. There were a lot of them in there. Sound-wise, John gave you hints that Janice was the Jack the Ripper in sound, in some of the transitions. I'm not going to give them away. I'm curious, super fans anyways, anybody who wants to relive that season someday, go back and listen. Who knows? You may become a patron of mine a year after the show, because I'm not going to take this broadcast down. So you may come to it and then go explore. So I'll leave it for everybody, not just obviously you all, the current patrons. But even in those sound effects, there are Easter eggs that tell you, hey, knock, knock, knock. Janice is the one killing everybody. And it was genius. Again, another reason why I love working with John. She made comments throughout the season, Janice did, all the way from the so you had the two teasers, and then you had that I don't know, 3-minute trailer where it was just Janice's monologue. Even in there, she had hints. But throughout the season, Janice would say things that was essentially me telling you that, hey, she's the one doing all this. And if you were paying attention to the dialogue all the way through, you would have picked up, maybe even subconsciously, on some of that stuff, that something's just not right. You were feeling that. And one of the things that she did say was she talked about cementing her legacy. I don't remember what episode it was. She was pissed off. But anyways, maybe 4 or 5, something like that. But she talked about cementing her legacy. And yes, at that time, you didn't know we were talking. Some of you did. There's actually a Twitter user who knew it was Jack the Ripper by like the 3rd episode. It was really impressive. But yeah, so she talks about it through there with Pam being British. Now, a lot of you know Sarah Golding. She does a ton of voice work for audio dramas, and she played Pam in this first season. She also played the doctor in the Bigfoot season. She also played the mother in season 1 of Diary of a Madman. I like working with Sarah. Sarah can do an American accent, but I didn't want her to. Now, why in the world would I change the backstory of that character? Pam was supposed to be an American at the beginning. The reason you hear Sarah in her natural British accent, sounding a little older than she really is, and the reason I changed the backstory to talk about Pam being an immigrant to America was because I wanted to make that subconscious link back to England, give you a little bit of a hint that, hey, Janice's family is somehow involved. Obviously, you all know about the box scene with Janice going to the house and looking for her box. Angelique was there exploding when she couldn't find it, making a big deal. And Angelique even says, "You're making a big deal over a box. Like, why?" That was my way of trying to seed you with something's not right, something stinks here, and pay attention to this. And then the victim's names was an obvious one. I don't know how many people, besides that one Twitter follower, I don't know how many people actually picked up on the names. You didn't know who the myth, legend, lore figure was yet at that point, and um, I deliberately called it RIP, RIP, right? I didn't put the periods in the title because I wanted to be genuine with you all, but at the same time, I wanted to confuse you and throw you off the scent that this was Jack the Ripper as long as possible, and that's what makes Garrett's observation even more impressive. That he noticed it as early as he did, and he used their names. I don't know what clued him in to check the names against the title of the season, but he did, and he figured it out nice and early. So that and then all the details. So one of the last things I want to hit on was all of the details in the murders. Those cutting open uteruses, bashing in faces, severing fingers. All of those things are things that Jack the Ripper or the people who killed and were attributed to Jack the Ripper, those all happened. If you go read up on the lore about Jack the Ripper, there's pictures out there of the victims too. And so if you can't handle looking at things like that, please don't go out there and look at them. But pretty grotesque stuff. And even the details in the deaths were all little cute clues to it. There were some red herrings in the season as well. Obviously, I threw Branson as the abrasive, acidic asshole trope in there to throw you off and have you follow along with him. That he is an asshole. He's got to be the one behind it. And I wanted you to pay attention to him as long as you could, so that he would distract you, essentially. But one of the things you may not notice or may not have noticed, and you may not even have noticed until today, is Janice's name. What's her last name? Her last name is Herring, like red herring. To encapsulate, I'm going to mislead you with this character. I'm going to make her sweet. I'm going to give her a sob story that you're going to identify with. That's where the bully story came from. She was not originally going to have a bully story. I gave her I got her name first, and then I gave her that bully story to enhance your empathy for her. No one likes being bullied, and nobody likes kids being bullied. And um, it's not like her name wasn't said, and yet we threw it out there, and nobody picked up on it. I was actually kind of pleasantly pleased by that one. So we had a ton of them in there. You can basically expect that from anything I write. Obviously, I'm not writing the second season of Diary of a Madman. That's by my friend Dohai, who's writing it. But there'll be some Easter eggs in Who Killed Julie, and in season 3 of Subject Found, there will be Easter eggs as well. It's a different story than this one, so I don't have the need to put as many as I did. This this past season, was almost a whodunit kind of thing, right? Who killed, who's killing all these women? Who is the Memphis murderer? So it wasn't a whodunit, but it followed that theme and those tropes to the point where it required a lot of Easter eggs. Speaking of season 3, the last thing on my notes here to talk to you about in this first ever live hangout type thing, season 3 update. So the biggest thing I can say about season 3 right now is I've got a couple book projects going on. 12 Deaths is coming out, and I have to edit that. to get it ready for pre-sale in September. I also have a nonfiction book coming out, I hope, in September for writers who want a podcast. So I've got those two things that are number one priorities. Right after that is the scales. I have finished editing it first. It's so old. How old is it? I wrote it before I even wrote season 1 of Subject Found. Um, Obviously, my writing has improved. I'm not good, but it's improved since then. So Scales is going to need a lot of work still. That's going to happen after this nonfiction book comes out. And I can't tell you how long that's going to take. I'm going to dive fully into it because by that point, Who Killed Julie will be coming out and it'll be new to everybody who doesn't patron me. So they don't know. So it'll be the first they ever hear of it. So I've got time to do another audio drama, but usually I need a long lead time because of everybody that's involved and all the production stuff because we don't half-ass things here. We do them right, which is why I will work with John as long as he's in love working with audio drama and you all patron me like you do so I can help pay some of his bills to do this. So to say that to say this, finish the first hangout on not a sour note, but I'm just going to be real with you all. It's going to be a long, long time before Subject Found comes out again. I tried to do a GoFundMe before I left for vacation, and it was an utter failure. I had a friend, a dear friend of mine, who is a patron, gives me wonderful money to support me because he can, and he gave me 400 of the $439 I raised for it. So the goal was 6,000 because most of that's going to go to John to produce, turn around like that. The more I pay him, the more the dude needs to eat. I think we all get this. We all have jobs. Sound design and sound production is John's job. When he did season 2 of Subject Found, he did it for free. He did Who Killed Julie for free. And I told him we can't do that anymore. And he said, I understand, but also understand I'm expensive. And then he told me his rate. And I said, oh, okay. So he will keep working with me, but he will fit it in as he has holes in his work until I can pay him. So the objective with the $6,000 goal was to make the money to enough money to pay him in full. So he could actually start producing it as soon as everything, all the lines were recorded and I could pay actors. Literally, I don't make shit on these audio dramas. They all go towards bills. The rest of that money was going to go toward the actors. 439 of the 6,000. So I'm going to do another fundraiser in the fall sometime before Christmas. Don't want to do it during the Christmas season. And I will try something besides GoFundMe. So we'll see. I've got to do some more research on which one is the best. But the fact is, if we do it, I'll have to pay for the actors out of pocket myself, which means it's going to be a while before I can do that. And then John will have everything. And if he's doing that for free, he's going to do it at the same pace he's doing things like Who Killed Julie. He's still fixing an episode now, and he's had these things for a while. I'm not faulting him at all. So I say all that to say, if we see Subject Found season 3 before 2020, I'll be surprised. And that's God's honest truth. I don't want to sound depressing or anything. But as things stand right now, that's God's honest truth. And a good note is I thought about that while I was watching the GoFundMe tank and be one of the worst fundraisers in the history of podcasting. I came up with an alternate solution. So I think that will work. I'm going to actually couple the book and the podcast at the same time. If this next fundraiser fails, just like the first one did, I'm just going to pull the plug on fundraising and save up the money to pay the actors and then hand it over to John to let him work at his own rate. And then I will sell the book and release the podcast at the same time and see how that works out. So needless to say, you've heard all the things I have coming up first before I even start editing. The whole season's written. Just to give you an idea, the first season of Subject Found words, the second season was 38,000 words. And you saw I got 10 episodes, you saw how long those were. Just to give you an idea, this third season script right now, just first written, no edits being done, is 62,000 words. It's almost twice as long as season 2 was. But it's a damn good story. If we do not get to make an audio drama out of this story, it's gonna be a shame. Because here's what I'm gonna end on. To pick us up after I've just peed all over everybody's parade. Way to go. This is this is why I'm not a big podcaster, right? Because I'm too real with you all. Um, so for this third season, here's your insider scoop on season 3 that nobody else is going to get except for obviously other patrons who watch this long. The third season, we're going supernatural. So no Bigfoot, no human, monster, myth, legend. Okay. So, I mean, obviously there's going to be humans involved in it, but I will let you know that one of the teasers I want to give you uh, to get you excited about it for the long road ahead is it is supernatural, myth, legend, lore, monster, and I go interdimensional for the first time. So the ideas that John and I have for that, I mean, his sound guys are already scoring it. So as patrons, if you're still around by the time this comes out, you're going to get a full score. So you'll get an album of custom music for season 3 built on that theme. But one of the things we're gonna do, here's a neat little tidbit for you, is we're gonna do. I do teasers, and I know half the people download teasers who download full episodes. I've asked audio drama fans why. I don't agree with their reasoning. I've tried to have a conversation about them. Basically, what the reasoning is I just want to listen to a whole story. I don't want to listen to little teasers. And I'll come back to them and say, yeah, but if the teaser has important story elements, i.e., hints that you're not going to get at any other point in the story, would that change your mind? And it changes about 30% of the people's minds. The rest of the people are no, if it's that important, you'll put it in the episode. No, I'm the one who creates this. You're not. Don't tell me what to do with my art. So I stopped talking to him before I actually typed that into Facebook with angry fingers. Right. So one of the teasers for this season 3 is going to be something literally that has never been done in audio drama before. Now, I'm not going to tell you what that is because, again, any patron in the current and in the future who sees this um, could go take that idea and claim first dibs on it. So I don't want to be a dick, but I'm gonna be a dick. I'm not telling anybody what it is because it's really cool, and I want Subject Found to be the first show to ever do it. So we'll see how that goes. Um, you're gonna love it. Like I said, it's 61,000 words right now. So the novel, just to give you an idea, those of you who bought Chasing the Demon, thank you very much, by the way. But I told you that the audio drama script was about 41,000 words. The novel ended up being 83,000 words, so about twice the length. So if we go on that, by the time I edit the scripts down from 61,000, they'll probably hit around 55,000 words. So if you double that for the novel, that's a 110,000 word novel. That's a big book. It's not it's not under the dome Stephen King big at all, but it'll be a 350, 375-ish page book when all is said and done. It might even be longer. And the reason is like I said, the exclusive that you get as patrons, nobody else will hear this because this broadcast will only ever stay available for patrons. I'm not even going to put it out. Well, I mean, I'm going to let patrons know, but you have to actually to click on the link, you have to be a patron to have access to it. The supernatural space where about 35-40% of the story takes place is something that's going to be labor intensive for John. And I really do want to share with you all, but I just can't because I feel like if I do, it'll ruin the story. But it's a really neat concept that I just had one night, believe it or not, from just watching some cheesy. Oh my god, it was horrible. Cheesy Netflix horror movie. But they had an interdimensional supernatural element, location, and I woke up the next day and knew where the monster in the story was going to reside. So that's where it's residing. Oh, it's going to be fun. I can't wait to share it with you. So, all right. I don't know how long this has gone on because literally you all can't see this, but I'm looking at my screen at my Google Hangout right now. And believe it or not, it doesn't actually tell you how long you've been going. So I'm going to shut up. There is no chat over there. I would answer questions, but I don't think I did that right. I'm not going to lie. I think I broke everything. But anyways, I'm going to boy, now I'm clicking buttons just for the hell of it. I need to just stop doing this stuff. So I'm going to sign off. I do want to know if you enjoyed this. So back over on Patreon, doing the special on that special report or on the link where you can actually see the preview of the video. If you could let me know, I do want feedback. If this wasn't, anything big for you, that's fair enough. In the future, I mean, obviously, I can only do ones this large when I've had a post season to talk about. In the future, I don't imagining them being this long. I will do one for Who Killed Julie because of the topics involved in Who Killed Julie. I think are fascinating. It'll be interesting to see how the audio drama community responds. It's not uh, it's not your typical audio drama, and I'm okay with it. And I don't mean in a weird way, like all the weird stuff that's going on out there, because that stuff doesn't. I just it doesn't do anything for me. I don't like those podcasts, to be honest. I don't like those audio dramas. I'm more disturbed by the real evil. Ghosts don't scare me because they're not real. Monsters don't scare me because they're not real. Aliens invading the Earth don't scare me because they're not real. Well, they're real, but they they can't get here, right? Um, the shit that scares me are people. People are the worst monsters ever created, and that's the kind of story that just resonates with me. And so, Who Killed Julie is going to hit on a lot of the evil, if you will, that people do, and it will be very interesting to see. I'm really excited about it. Of course, more information to come. So go over to that feed. Let me know what you thought about this. I'm going to stop this. But to those of you who did show up, at one point I had 4. I scared 2 of them off. Or they actually have lives and they can't listen to me ramble this long. I do want to thank you for joining. But seriously, now that you can see my face actually saying it, I do want to actually thank you all for supporting month in, month out. I don't lose patrons like other creators do. And that means a lot to me. Hopefully, that means having a number of podcasts that I offer to you and the short stories and whatnot that you actually appreciate that enough to hang around. And if you are a $5 or higher patron, make sure you get over and listen to that episode of episode number 6. Adam is the only one who has responded at this point to let me know the tasker that I gave at the end of it. I want to write episode 7. I'd actually like to do those episodes a little more quickly in succession so the story stays fresher in my brain. I'm getting old. You all are making me go weeks without revisiting the story. That ain't easy. So if you are a $5 patron, please make sure that you're checking that out and letting me know. Otherwise, thank you for supporting me each and every month. And I will see you the next time we do this. Hopefully, I'll have the chat thing figured out. All right. Take care, everybody.